Hey guys, so I wanted to do this video on the human ego and help people kind of transcend that and understand how things that happen in your life aren't happening to you, they're happening for you. So our human ego is kind of the part of ourself that sees ourselves as separate or as me against them, or it's kind of like the in the I, the me. It's kind of like think of this analogy. So you think of an ocean, oceans have waves. So our ego kind of acts like a wave. We think, oh, we are this wave. We are a wave. So we are human. I am separate from this. I am Sarah. I am living in this universe, but I am separate. I am Sarah. I'm not connected to anything else. I am this specific wave in this vast thing. No. You are a wave, but you're not separate from the ocean. Another way of thinking about this is that the universe exists on a mass level, on a mass scale. Thinking that you're separate from the entire universe is really thinking that you're bigger than the entire universe. It's thinking that you're essentially more superior or more important. You're not separate from the universe. You're part of the universe. If you understand what I'm saying, you're a star in the universe, but just because you're a star, just because you're living in a physical vessel, doesn't mean you're not completely attached to absolutely everything that exists. You're not separate from anything else. I know it's kind of hard for some people to understand. It was hard for me to understand when I first had some of my ego deaths. It was hard for me to realize that, you know what, I'm no separate from the tree that's in front of me. I'm no different from the grass. I'm no different from the sun. Nothing is bigger nor smaller than me, because everything is just one. There isn't really a me. I'm part of this whole big cosmic web. And this isn't to say that we don't all have our own individual differences, but it's kind of saying, you know, everything is not just about me. And it can be hard to realize that, you know, everything isn't just about you, because, you know what, I had a big lesson learning that. Had to learn it the hard way. So that's why I'm kind of making this video, in hopes that other people kind of come across it and can learn how to dissolve their ego without having to go through big changes, to, I guess, phrase this in the best way. Basically, our ego is running off a program of fear. It's the inner critic, the judge, the victim, the bully who thinks you always have to be right, who thinks there's not enough for everyone. The ego loves to live in the past. It lives for drama. It loves to feel sorry for itself, and it likes things to be hard. It likes believing that you need to work to find your soul calling. It sees that it is separate from everything, and not that it is in alignment with everything. Basically, ego is kind of driven by these core fears, and we're controlled by these fears if we're living from the perception of our ego. And if we're living from the perception of ego, we're not giving ourselves enough room for our soul or our spirit to come through. Things aren't happening to you. It's not to say, I'm going to give you a direct example in my life. Something that happened to me last year, I'm not going to go into complete detail, but I was in the mindset of, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? Am I really not good enough? Is this what I'm worthy of? And you know what? That wasn't the right mindset, because it wasn't happening to me. It was never happening to me. It was never a punishment from the universe. It was a blessing, a gift from the universe, because it was happening for me, for my own soul's growth. And you can think about anything in this type of manner. So, for example, my parents split up when I was 6, and my mom left when I was 9. This did not happen to me, though I thought it did in the moment. It happened for me. It happened so that I would be able to raise myself, to nurture myself, to give myself love, so that in time I would be able to do these things and feel confident doing them. Just kind of like a personal little anecdote here. I had my first ego death, which is realizing, again, we're entangled in everything. Last October, November, and it was a life-shattering experience, to say the least. I realized I am not Sarah. I realized that this is a role that I've been playing for my entire life, and that identity was keeping me in this fear-based kind of situation. It wasn't allowing me to be the unconditional love, to be the peace, to be the joy that I know in my soul I was. It was kind of, your ego gets in the way. Your ego always wants to control everything. Your ego isn't patient. Not to say that having an ego is bad. We all have egos when we incarnate here as humans. This is part of the human experience, is to have an ego and then transcend that ego. The most important thing I can say is to keep yourself open. To not let anything tear you down. To not let life get in the way, because you are best when your soul and your heart is cracked open. Once you start to dissolve this ego, once you start to see yourself as interconnected between everything, you gain a whole new sense of life. You start to see life in a whole new way. I can tell you, I do not see anywhere close to the way that I did last year. The only way that I saw last year was me. Why is this happening to me? This happened to me. I'm going to do this. This person did this to me. I said this to this person. Everything that came from ego, I was constantly in this anxiety, fear-based. I was controlled. I always wanted to control things. I wanted things to play out in a way that would serve me, and I didn't really see that, you know what, there's more than you, a lot more than you. And I think living in this kind of like fear-based, egotistical mindset is truly one of the biggest, I guess, threats to our own soul's growth. Because if we don't transcend this ego, how are we ever supposed to hear what Source wants us to know? How are we ever supposed to live our purpose if we are in fear? How are we ever supposed to raise our vibration if we don't see and feel unconditional love for everything? It's important to realize that we're not our identities. I might be Sarah right now in this current incarnation, but once I die, once I leave this physical vessel, I'm not Sarah anymore. The physical body, Sarah, died, but I didn't die, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. And you might be asking, okay, if you're not Sarah, what are you? Well, you know what I am? I am a physical manifestation of Source consciousness, and you are too. Our ego wants us to think that we are not, because our ego is part of this game. It's part of what keeps us from liberating ourselves and living in the truth. We're constantly fed with egoic behaviors in our modern day society. We have Facebook profiles, Instagram profiles, Twitter profiles where this is me in 140 characters, this is my life, watch my life. And it's kind of just like insinuating separation, right? Because you're scrolling through your Instagram and you're saying, this is this person, this is this person, this is this person's profile. No. We're all the same. We're all one. There is no separation. The quicker that your soul is able to remember this, the quicker you are going to be able to follow your soul's journey and your soul's path. Because you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean. Thank you. I don't think that I have anything left to say for this video. I'm just going to kind of ask my deck to see if there's anything, because something's saying that there's a message that I need to share about ego. Message about the human ego. Well then. That's a lot of cards. I've never had that many cards fall out of this deck. Ooh. I'm assuming this is what you get when your ego's dissolved. Yes. I knew this was going to be the first card. So the first card that came out when I was talking about this was clairvoyant. So I'm helping your spiritual sight to awaken fully so you can clearly see heavenly love. When you dissolve your ego, you become more spiritually awake. Because when you see that there's no separation, you see that you're not separate from these divine gods or whoever you believe in. You're not separate from them. They are not bigger than you. You are them in the most divine, beautiful way. I got brilliant idea. Your idea is divinely guided. Please take action to bring this idea into fruition. So I believe that if everybody takes one step every single day to start to let go of their ego, or start to befriend nature, or start to live in unconditional love, you're definitely going to have more ideas that are going to come into. You're going to be able to be more creative. You're going to be able to live what your soul's purpose is, because, you know, when you're guided by your ego, you might not be living what your soul's purpose is, right? You might be living what your ego thinks that you're supposed to do, which isn't really what you're supposed to do. I got clairsentience. Notice your reoccurring physical and emotional feelings as they signify divine guidance. So with this and the ego, the more that you dissolve your ego, the more that you are going to be able to tap into these inherent spiritual gifts that you have had for lifetimes. The more you kind of let your ego take the back seat, the more source can take a front seat, and the more you're able to receive divine guidance. Clear your space. Get rid of clutter. Clear the energy around you. So with this card and the ego, I would suggest that your ego is essentially clutter. A suggestion could be go around your room, find what serves your soul. If you look at something, so say this notebook's in your room, say, you know what, I have this notebook because it serves my ego. Like, I'm just using this as an example. This doesn't serve my ego, this serves my soul. But if this was an item like, a big board that shows all of your accomplishments. Not saying that showing all of your accomplishments is necessarily a bad thing, but is that really helping you, or is that just boosting your own ego? And then replace it with things that nourish your soul instead. I've had to go through a purge of a lot of things that I used to keep. I used to be very egotistical in the things that I would put on my walls, and yeah, I've let that go. Right now I don't have anything on my walls right now because I haven't decided what I want to put on my walls, but definitely not what I used to have on my walls. If you've ever been to any of my old bedrooms, you know. Sensitivity. You're extra sensitive to energies and emotions right now. Honor yourself and your feelings. So if you're going through, when you're dissolving your ego, you are going to be more perceptive to energies because you're opening more of yourself up. So in this right now, just honor yourself. Honor that you are having these feelings. Your ego might want to push them away, say it's not okay to feel this, it's not right to feel this, etc. But you know what? It is. You're completely entitled to feel anything that you want, and don't let your own ego, your own inner critic say that you are not entitled to feeling those feelings. Lastly, we got gifts from God. So we angels bring you gifts from the Creator. Open your arms to receive. The more that you're going to dissolve your ego and understand that you're not in complete control over your life, the more you can open your arms and ask to receive. In asking to receive and understanding that there's a bigger force that is kind of playing out your life right now, you're going to really open your heart up to gifts that you didn't think were possible because you thought that you were in the driver's seat, but you're not. You're truly not. This was all planned out before you incarnated here, and it is completely okay and safe to sit down, sit in the passenger seat, enjoy the ride. There's someone else driving the ship, and all you have to do is be your most authentic, truest, soul, spirit person, not following your ego that you can possibly be, and you're going to be open to so many more gifts, so much more abundance, so much more prosperity than you ever realized. Because in realizing that, hey, I and not in control of everything, that's saying to the universe, I am open to receive because I am letting go of control. And when you let go, you create space, and in that space is going to be a bigger blessing than what your ego thought you could ever have. Because this universe is much more vast than you could ever picture with your own egoic mind. So I hope you like this video. I hope you took something from this video that was important, because learning to dissolve my ego and learning the difference between my ego, my soul, and my spirit was probably one of the most significant paths on my journey so far. And I'm not saying I live without ego. My ego comes up every now and then, and that's completely okay. You just have to honor that, step back, say thank you for these thoughts, but I choose to live from my soul instead of my ego. An affirmation that I kind of do every day is, I consciously choose to follow my soul's callings instead of the calling of my ego. So you can do that affirmation every day, and it will help you connect more with your soul and make you feel more full and whole. Okay, I feel like I got out everything I needed to say. So thank you for watching this video. If you need any guidance about releasing your ego, if you want an oracle reading that has to do with parts of your ego that are still holding on, what you can do to release your ego, etc., I'll have my website linked below. You can ask that question for any of the different oracle readings that I have, or I have a 30-minute spiritual guidance consultation with me. It's kind of like a face-to-face video chat where we can talk about your ego. We can kind of bring out patterns in your life that this ego has been playing out and learn how to dissolve them so you can live from your soul's calling. So I hope you learned something, and I hope everybody has a great day and learns how to follow the calling of their soul instead of the calling of their ego. Thank you. Oh, also, if you've watched my video about what the fuck is happening on Earth right now, ego is like the 3rd density, and following your soul is like the 5th density. So think of letting your ego out, letting your ego go, like kind of like letting yourself ascend. It's a very, very, very big factor in the ascension process. So, peace.